It now gives me a huge amount of pleasure to introduce my good friend Ronnie Muhl. Now, Ronnie Muhl, I mean, everybody knows what's up next. I mean, he's the mountain man. He's a conqueror of great heights. What people don't realize about Ronnie Muhl is that he deserves a gold medal. And I'm submitting the application for the gold medal for Ronnie Muhl tomorrow morning, because I got an email from Ronnie the other day. You see, when you're running a thing like this, you have to chase after people to, send me the DVD, send me the script, we have to get the CE credits. Ronnie didn't send me anything. And he gets the gold medal for creative excuses. Now, we've all used the dog ate my homework. Not Ronnie. Ronnie sends me an email. It's been a little hectic. I'm taking a crowd up Mount Kilimanjaro tomorrow. I'm taking a group of 12 up Kilimanjaro tomorrow. I'll send it to you when I get back. I mean, is that creative or what? I've never heard an excuse better than that. Ronnie's on a quest to conquer the 7 great mountains of the world. I guess each continent has a great mountain, and he's done up, 5 or 6 of them? 1 or 2 left. How'd you like going up the mountain in Hamilton? It's what Don Herring calls the world's largest flat mountain. I said I don't have a script, and I don't, but I have to read this. Ronnie gave this to me just a minute ago. In the last 2 years, he spent more than 4 months on the north face of Mount Everest, and what he endured has changed his life forever. What he has to share might well change yours. So make sure your harness is buckled, your rope is tight, as Ronnie Muhl will no doubt take you right to the edge. And when he finally brings you back, you will have glimpsed your very own Everest with all the tears and triumphs. Please welcome me and join me.
Thank you. It is the 21st of May, 2006. That's me in the red down suit. It's minus 40 below. Now, I know by Canadian standards that's probably not that cold. But I'm standing at 8,700 meters, 28,500 feet above sea level, at a critical point on the highest mountain on our planet. And I am struggling. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and I'm battling to breathe. You see, I'm only getting 30% of the air that you and I are enjoying right now. But at the time, I also had a faulty oxygen mask. So I was getting even less. And so as I climb this critical point, this second step on Mount Everest, I get to the top, and 2 Russian climbers come down towards me, and I can see this look of absolute determination in my eye. And they say to me, and in my best Russian, they say, "Ronnie, where you go?" And I'm trying to be enthusiastic about this, although I'm struggling to breathe. And I say, I'm heading for the summit. They turn to me and they say, "Ronnie, we turn 50 meters." And I could see that the wind had picked up. The weather had changed, and I knew I had this faulty oxygen mask. Folks, this is what I was looking at. I had 150 vertical meters to climb, and the distance was about 450 meters. Now, if we had to collectively get outside and take a stroll for 450 meters, I guess most of us, even although we weren't that fit, would do it in, give or take, 15 or 20 minutes. That little journey would take me 2 hours, and another 2 hours back. And I faced the most critical decision of my life, and that was to turn. And at that point, I turned, climbed back down that second step, and headed off to advanced base camp. Now, that decision in its own is not that great, but what made it particularly hard for me is I'd been dreaming about that moment for 28 years. You see, in 19 1979, I was living in England at the time. I closed the cover of a book on the 14th of September of that year. I'll never forget it. The book was called The Impossible Victory, and it was the story of the first 2 mountaineers to summit Everest without oxygen, Reinhold Messner and Peter Habler. And that book inspired me to want to climb that great mountain. But you know, at that time, permits were issued to nations, not to individuals. And here I was, a South African living in London, and when I shared that story with some of my climbing buddies, they said to me, "But Ronnie, you're not a good enough climber. There's no ways you're going to get onto Chris Bonington's £1 million expedition. Wake up, your coffee's cold." And you know what? They were right. There was no way that I was going to make that happen. But somehow I managed to keep that dream alive. Went back to South Africa in 1981, and every climbing season, which was always April and May, certainly pre-monsoon, I would follow the newspapers and read whatever I could about Everest, Chomolungma, as she is known to the local people, the mother goddess of the universe. And I kept the dream alive. It was in a bottom drawer somewhere, but each climbing season I would take it out, kind of look at it. I don't know how big your dreams are, but I certainly hope they're not small little dreams. I hope they're massive dreams. Dreams that scare you, kind of make your palms a bit sweaty, really wake you up in the early hours of the morning because they're that frightening. I'd encourage you to dream big dreams, and encourage you to get your children to dream big dreams. Isn't it amazing how often you walk into a situation and you hear a parent saying to a child, "But you can't do that"? I think that we can do amazing things. But you know, I'm under no illusion that we can't all just get out there and achieve our big dream today. But we can certainly achieve great things if we begin today. And so within 10 months, I found myself back in base camp. I couldn't believe it. I'd left Kathmandu the previous year, and this time I was back to lead a South African expedition. And that was scary for me. I mean, all I wanted to do was climb this great mountain. I didn't want the responsibility of putting the logistics together and leading a team. But I stepped up to the plate, and it's amazing that when you take on those other responsibilities, somehow providence moves too, isn't it? Goethe has that wonderful saying, when you commit, it's incredible what comes towards you. And so I found myself in base camp, and just for those of you who are interested, our routing, and I'll show you on the other side in a second, is going to take us up through behind this section, up the North Ridge, up onto the Northeast Ridge, and hopefully onto the summit very briefly. And so where we're headed is around this incredible mountain here and up that North Ridge onto the Northeast Ridge, and all being well onto the summit. And hopefully we're going to try and stand there for one brief moment. I get so concerned when people say, "Oh, but he conquered Mount Everest." I don't think we ever conquer any of the natural elements. I think we are privileged to be able to spend some time there.